Well, and that's sort of Wendy Marcy's point, right? Is that like do you get upset with the lion when it rips apart the zebra or the gazelle? And the answer is no, because it's only performing its nature. It's not trying to manipulate. It's not trying to coerce. It's not doing any of that stuff. Its very nature is the height of Darwinian existence, which is it's an apex predator that will destroy any other potential threat to its primacy on sight.
Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
Cam 2, double squared.
as well as
The Professor, the Lord of Light, Relor.
and Josh is away on assignment, but we are here back talking about Alien Earth. It just wrapped. It was good 8 episodes, I want to say. 8 episodes, which is kind of the norm these days. Gone are the long 24 episode seasons that we used to have of our childhood, which is usually like 7 good episodes and the rest of it was filler, but it doesn't matter. Now we got these lean 8 episodes. But yeah, it wrapped. We had talked about this earlier. We watched the first 2 episodes, kind of gave us our reactions. Now that we've gotten the full season, fellas, I'll go to D first, since you're kind of the resident alien expert here. What was your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts. So yeah, I mean, we did talk about the first 2 episodes, and I really enjoyed those. I thought, because I was always curious, how do you take that story and make it into a serialized TV drama? And because the alien, typically gets destroyed, and obviously they've always shown how the aliens will bounce back and return. But I thought it was solid writing and solid storytelling, a lot of world building, a lot of new additions to the storytelling, or challenges to, the world of Alien that we didn't previous have in any of the movies. Everything from showing that the Xenomorphs may have a natural predator in the Teoculus creature, which, once it found a host, it went right at it. It not only went at the alien, it called the Xenomorph. it called the Xenomorph to it. And despite the limitations of the human anatomy, it engaged it in a full blown fight, which was an unexpected twist to the events that happened, that we knew happened on, or we thought we knew took place on the crashing ship. I think it's called the Maganaut. I believe that's what it's called. And so I thought that was a really good twist to that. They found so many things that some of these species are millions and millions of years older than humanity. And, we can't know what the Teoculus is thinking, what it's planning, what it could, because there's a lot of what was great about that particular aspect of the world building was that, and the character development, is that we got a lot of contradictions, right? There's a moment where they're in the lab with on the ship with the scientist. I think the character's name was Chibozo, or Chibuzo, and she doesn't notice that one of the, I guess, tick bugs or alien creatures wiggles its way out of the containment pod, and actually, and so as it's doing that, the Teoculus is using its tentacles and hitting the glass, as almost like it's warning her. Of course, she doesn't understand, and so what happens. But these little small details, even trying to develop these characters, even developing the Xenomorph through the Wendy character and how she's sort of giving them a voice of saying, you know, they didn't ask to be brought here. They didn't ask to be studied and treated like animals in the zoo. You know, when her brother Hermit is trying to say, you know, they're not like us, they're monsters. They, you know, they're just predators. They kill, and then she's comparing them to many other creatures like bees and ants and things like that, and to humans. So there's a lot of great philosophical narration going on. The best episode by far was episode 5, entitled "In Space, No One, ellipses, dot, dot, dot," which is a riff on the original Alien tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream." So that episode was really good. And there was a couple more twists that you didn't see coming, such as the saboteur, learning that Boy Cavalier was behind the whole thing the whole time. So every episode sort of peeled back a new layer of the Alien universe that you didn't know before and that you didn't really think about before. And I think in that regard, it worked really well.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was we all know this, I'm not a horror person, but Aliens is like a weird horror sci-fi kind of melding type of a thing. I originally saw the first Alien in the womb. My mom and dad went to go watch it when I was there, so that's my first. And apparently, I didn't like it because I was kicking the stream and trying to fight. But with all of that, like, yeah, it was for me. I was just like, yo, this is super entertaining. Like, even the first maybe 3 episodes, that that could have been a movie by itself, because that would have been the normal, almost a normal thing of Alien, right? There's a one alien going crazy, killing a bunch of people. They figure out how to neutralize it. They do, and then they move on. But I was actually curious to see how they were going to expand it, and I think I like that they use more different types of species on top of the xenomorphs to kind of expand a lot of things, being on that point where it's just like, yeah, you know, yes, xenomorphs are our main thing that we're worried about, but there's a bunch of other little creatures that have their own little craziness that we need to look out for as well. Also, too, I like how the allegory of just like, it's all capitalism at the end of the day. like every episode where they're talking, it was just like, my company, my city, my this, I want these pieces so I can get more things, essentially.
Yeah, that's another thing they opened up, was the sort of the revelation of the 5. I don't know if that's ever been discussed as much in any of the films. Really, the films led you to believe that the Weyland-Yutani Corporation was pretty much the arm, and probably by the time you reach since this is set before all of the movies, by the time you reach the movies, perhaps Weyland-Yutani has gained more influence and more power. Because the other thing is that the movies did hint at a civilian type of military government that was separate from the corporation. It's like the United Alliance or something like that. Those were present in the other movies. So I'll be curious to see if Noah Hawley is going to stop short of showing us that reckoning happens, or if he's going to ignore it altogether. But yeah, this was the first time we got the Prodigy and the other companies that Weyland-Yutani as a mega corp, because they always represented the evil corporation. So now you find out that there are 5 others, and they're all sort of controlling each corner of the world, and civilian government is gone, and all that stuff. So it's an interesting add-on to the mythology. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff that was a lot of mythology details that were thrown out there in each episode.
Yeah, exactly. Cam, what was your initial thoughts on it?
I was curious how. Well, I had no thoughts initially, just because I didn't know what I was getting into. But as the first 3 episodes developed, I was curious on how they were going to drift from what I'm used to in alien movies. The alien is the enemy, the humans are the hero. Throughout the event of the whole season,
some humans are heroes.
Some humans are heroes. Yeah. But the general consensus is like humans are good, aliens bad. We got to destroy the aliens.
Yeah.
So in this show, there could be potential confusion because like at the end it's like, okay, who are the real villains? I think the title of that episode was like something about villains. And I'm like looking at it like, okay, the humans are just as evil as the aliens. The aliens are kind of humanized by the end of the season in a sense that, like you said, they were brought here. Like whatever happened, they got captured. They were brought here.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at them as like, okay, they're innocent in this and they're just trying to survive. It's like, okay, do you blame the bear for being a bear when it attacks you? No.
and that's sort of Wendy Marcy's point, right? Is that like do you get upset with the lion when it rips apart the zebra or the gazelle? And the answer is no, because it's only performing its nature. It's not trying to manipulate. It's not trying to coerce. It's not doing any of that stuff. Its very nature is the height of Darwinian existence, which is it's an apex predator that will destroy any other potential threat to its primacy on sight. and that's that's not a good or evil thing. And so from the very beginning, you're right. It's been that humanity in our Promethean quest for immortality are the true villains of this whole universe. That is the one thing that I think Ridley Scott drove home. That was the point that now Noah Hawley is driving that home as well, is that no, it's not these beasts, these apex predators and these species. No, it's humanity that's trying to reach for what is the quote from Frankenstein? One man's life is but a small price to pay for the dominion that I might acquire. So like that's pretty much Weyland-Yutani is like, no, these assets on this ship are more important than every life, every human being and soul or machine here.
And I think they did a good job of kind of like the Moro character. When you first see him introduced, he's pretty much this weird, almost like relentless, like quote unquote evil person just trying to do this thing. I have one mission, I'm only doing it. And then as you get to it, they're like, okay, we can humanize him too, because he was dealing with sabotage.
So the cool thing about Alien as the season develops is that you get to peel back the layers on certain characters. Now, it was a little weird when I think on episode 3, they go back to how it all started, because I thought we got episode 5. We go back to see what had happened. But there's some empathy with Morrow, the character, where I just thought he was a cold, heartless dude.
It's a Terminator.
But he was the most interesting character as soon as he stepped on the screen. He by far throughout the whole season. Very, very nuanced character. There's levels to him. So to me, I was digging it. And then kudos to the casting, because I didn't recognize Timothy Olyphant. And I was like, wait, hold on. That's the
he's really good. And
he's really good.
He and the actor who plays Morrow they just really made
they were scene stealers.
Yeah.
His name is Babacar Casey.
Cisse.
And he also played the main antagonist in the Badlands, Into the Badlands or AMC.
Another one of those weird shows that parts of it are good, but like his casting specifically was really good, like way better than
that show was really had a great concept, but the execution was where it fell short.
So also I would say the introduction of the different human characters, like human cyborgs, and I can't think of what Wendy was. What are they called?
They were hybrids.
Hybrids.
They were hybrids, yeah.
So maybe I'm just too far removed from the mythology, but I remember Bishop. I was like, what is, in the first or second Alien, I was like, oh, it's kind of, these characters remind me of Bishop. But, we get more insight on how they were created. And you have layers of different, you got the cyborgs, the hybrids, and you have, there's another third one.
The synth. Yeah, the synthetic, which is what Kirsch, the Timothy Oliphant character,
which was cool. So we saw how they were created, and we see these different layers of humans, which I don't think the movies ever really got into. Maybe I'm missing one. And then
that's because the thing is they didn't exist until now. So this is an addition to the mythology. Before, in the original Alien, Ash was just a synth, just like Bishop in the sequel, and like Kirsch. But they were all different models of a synth. And even in Alien Romulus, the Johnson character, he is one of the types of models of synth. And so that's really what it was. They differentiated by models, not like, okay, there are human cyborgs and hybrids. So the impression is, again, some of these things aren't going to last very long.
Okay.
Yeah. And also that's what they were talking about with the hybrids, right? Like there was like your Moro was basically talking to Kirsch and be like, yo, you're basically like raising your replacements. Like the hybrids are meant to replace synths. So what are you doing? And that was his like kind of beef with Kirsch, us among.
Which furthers the sort of allegorical gods in the pantheon type of thing in Olympus, where that was Kronos' whole thing is, he ate his children so that they couldn't supplant him. He supplanted his father, the sky god or whatever, and so that's that's another thing that sort of underlay alongside the sort of the Peter Pan, obviously, literary allusions that they're making, which I've said before, Peter Pan is a very dark story when you really take a look at it, and clearly Noah Hawley sees it that same way, because I've said that I think that line, I've always thought that line about Peter thinning out the Lost Boys was just that he was either killing them or he was setting them up to be killed when they started to get older or, tried to leave Neverland.
Yeah. And one thing about the mythology, there were some choices that I may have not been familiar with. Like, I totally forgot facehuggers only react to humans. I thought it was just anybody. So
they wouldn't be able to gestate in something inorganic. Yeah.
So that part I totally forgot. And what was cool, like I said, the different creatures. I wish, like, it was really weird because the plant was introduced in like an earlier episode, but it didn't react to a synthetic human. So I guess it only eats humans.
Well, it didn't try to attack them, but it did react to them. So like there's a scene, and I know because I rewatched the episodes, but there's a scene where the character Toodles, who renames himself Isaac after Sir Isaac Newton, is walking around when they first find it on the crash ship. And I think Kirsch says something like
careful or something.
He says careful. It appears like flora could be fauna, which means it looks like a plant, but it could be an actual animal or organism, and so it extended its sort of tentacle and it was following them, but it doesn't try to eat them or try to attack them. So that I think that you're in that sense, that's what the thing was. And then we obviously finally get a new development in the Fly episode that species, we learn in the next episode after it devours one of the hybrids, that species evolved on a planet where it fed on minerals and resources and the very thing that they probably, and silicones, and the thing that they use the raw materials they use to create the hybrid body. And so that I thought that was a good moment because it's like, again, here's another thing where and it pays off something that one of the scientists said in the episode 5, where he's like, the face hugger is proof of the smart idiot theory or something like that, where it's like we're smart enough to build ships to go out into space and do all this stuff, but we're not smart enough to leave the parasitic predators that feed on us and birth things through us where we found them. So I thought that was another showing of that, where you see that we're smart enough to build these complex, to transfer a human consciousness into a machine body, an android body, but we're not smart enough to be able to contain these organisms or to just leave them alone to begin with, because they prove that you really don't need them to be immortal. So the Yutani's goal is to take how the Xenomorph is the perfect organism. It doesn't need to sleep, eat. It doesn't need anything that we need, and it can exist in the vacuum of space for eons, if possible. Maybe possible that one can exist for a very, very long time and then be reawakened. So
isn't that the plot of like that was the plot of like Alien 3 or something like that. They grabbed the queen from space that was frozen, reanimated it, blah 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 blah. So that makes a lot of sense.
And in Resurrection, they took Ridley's body, cloned it, and she was, at the time when she kills herself at the end of Alien 3, she has a queen inside.
That's right.
That's why it didn't kill her when it, in the iconic shot where it's in her face and she's like turned. That's why it doesn't kill her, because she has a queen inside of her. That's David Fincher's first film, by the way. So they are the perfect organism. The only different thing is that we don't know how their cognition works, right? Other than
and I think that's what they did with this show on the world building front, where one, you got a lot more different creatures that we get to see. Two, the Wendy character can now communicate with them. So now we get that was another one of those weird things where I was like, I don't know where this is going, but it gives us a little bit peering into what they actually think and acts up, where we've never seen that before in any of the aliens prior to that.
And now we have context to why those will be the first and last hybrids, right? Because if the end of this show ends up with Prodigy likely being destroyed and going away, that would mean that the Yutani Weyland Yutani would see that as being, no, that's even worse, because now you have an unstoppable human that can control the unstoppable monsters. So it's that you can see that they set that up to knock it down later.
And so here's my issue with that. So the children that was raised by Boy Cavalier, one of my frustrations is that obviously Wendy volunteered herself to go save her brother under the guise of a rescue mission. And so I thought they were like all badass soldiers. Come to find out, because of their childlike mentality, they weren't even trained. You got the expensive project, the $1 billion synths, and I felt like only one was kind of trained, which was really weird. She was able to take on the alien and behead it, and I don't know how she did it. Not that I need to see that, but I'm just like, dang, how come everybody else is not up to par? It's not a huge deal. It was just really weird to see them not capable of defending themselves. However, near the end of the episode, you see the growth of certain synths that started to understand, we're actually really more powerful, which is what, oh my God, Kirsch tried to kind of tell me, like, you shouldn't be afraid. Like, you're better than a human, right?
Yeah.
But it was really weird.
Trying to get through to them is that, but again, we're talking about people whose minds are at 10, 11, 12 years old. And so, but there's also, again, there's the Peter Pan, illusion there, right? So like Boy Cavalier doesn't think about his decisions. He just does what seems like is a good idea, like a child, right? So like he even though Kirsch and the scientists and even the other android guys, like, what are you doing? We just put billions into this. And we haven't trained them. You're going to send them into the crash ship site where there's possibly several apex predators that are waiting to pounce. It's like, well, there's your best option, or he doesn't give them a choice. And so they go. It's similar to how Peter Pan, the situations that Peter Pan would put the Lost Boys in against the pirates. Yeah. Yep. And so the way that ecosystem was set up is that there was another group, I won't say the name because it's historically a racist term, but there was one group that preyed on another that preyed on it. So there was an ecosystem of survival of the fittest in Neverland. And so you see that repeated in Alien Earth, where Boy Cavalier, as the Peter Pan figure, is sending the Lost Boys out amongst these dangers, knowing that it will thin them out. And so what happens in that story? Wendy Darling grows up. She realizes that Peter doesn't want to grow up. She grows up and she leaves. Peter gets mad and comes and kidnaps her daughter, Jane. And so that's how that played out. And so you see that same thing playing. Wendy starts to grow up. She goes from seeing them as her saviors and people who helped her. And the thing that changed really was the two events. One is when they wiped Nib's memory, when they wiped her memory, and then when she saw Isaac splayed dead on the slab, like not just dead, like, but like like destroyed, like he was, and they had told her, and as a child she believed it fully. She even repeated it to her brother, that they were indestructible, that they couldn't die, that this couldn't happen to them. So as a child, and most children in that, they see it in that way. So you lied to me. Now I'm upset. So as she's growing up, you still see that it's driven by a child's understanding of the world, that simplistic understanding.
And I'll piggyback on that. From the simplicity of a child, she was also ready to just put her brother in the box.
Exactly.
It took was it Smee?
It was Smee
that convinced her. He was like, nah, he really one of us. Yeah. However, here's the thing that really bugged me. I just forgot my thought. But something bugged me about that, where I was just looking at him, and I was kind of confused on like the direction they're going, like with the whole, I said duolingo for Xenomorphs. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Heck, I've never seen this. I was like, all right, cool. But you explain like why we probably will never see that again because of the threat level.
It's if you want to look, if humans see threats in most places where they're benign, seeing that, you see how he reacted when what does Boy Cavalier say? As soon as he saw, when they try to stop her and she does the threat, and when the Xenomorph is still in the cage, and he realizes, oh man, we did this and now it's backfiring on us. Oh yeah. You gotta get the other ones before she reaches them, because now we got a problem.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Darling, she's growing up.
How old is Hermit? Wendy's brother Joe in this series.
He's supposed to be like in his 20s, like early 20s. That's what it seems like. Like he's like the older 20s. Brother. Yeah.
My frustration with him is him not reading the room and getting what the hell's going on here. So with him understanding, like, bruh, she's property of this company. There's no way you're taking this $1 billion thing.
That should have been obvious from the beginning.
From the get-go. But second, that look at your sister. She's not your sister anymore. You got to look at, and she, like, what you remember of your sister is completely gone after all these events you saw. Her killing
it's just remembered in code, bro. Like,
I was like, bro, like, you got to let her go.
Like, and he was like, in his plot armor, through like he should have got killed at least 17 different times. Like
he should have died in the hotel. He should have died.
He shouldn't have made it out of there. They were doing some Deus Ex Machina plot armor,
good plot armor, like yes,
type of thing. But I think I think he is meant to be understood as capable, but also kind of a idiot savant a little bit. I don't know if that may not be the right way to say that, but he's supposed to be a little bit naive, if nothing else. Like he sees the world in a certain way, because think about it. He's asking his fellow soldiers about ways to get on or off the island, not thinking about the fact that they could go literally and rat him out or the fact that because his situation is unique there, none of the others have their family, that Boy Cavalier wouldn't have people watching him all the time. So he displays constant, even though he's a medic and even though he's a soldier, there's this sort of underlying, or at least a little bit of an implication that this is how this world works now, where a younger and younger individual, like you get a sense that adolescence is gone. Like that, you as early as probably 12 or 13, they are entered into the adult world and have to continue to work their way through it, because he's very intelligent and very capable, but he's also really naive and extremely and has a very childlike perception of.
So here's my pushback on that. It's not towards you. It's just the fact that when you go through war and you've seen the things that he's seen, it all kind of was washed away a little bit when he saw his sister again. He was like, oh, we can go live happily ever after. If you've been in war, you've been through some traumatic or seen some things, the reality of what you're actually dealing with should be constant. And it went another level up when he went to that ship, saw that alien. It was like,
I mean, honestly, as soon as he got to the
circumstances, remember that he thought that she died. Yeah. His father told him that he thought she was dead. He knew about the experiment, but I think what happened was they told them that she died. And in a way, they weren't lying, because her physical body is dead. It's gone. And so, I think that was a part of what they were trying to mix in there, was that he was a little bit shocked, because I think that would explain the juxtaposition of these scenes where he's sitting with his dad at that age. He's juxtaposed watching Ice Age and things like that. With her, I think it kind of reminded me of that idea about around Batman, where Bruce Wayne died when his parents was killed, and so everything is sort of goes back to that moment. And I feel like with him, with Hermit, everything was, his happiness is always taking him back to that moment. His adult life has been nothing but, as you said, war and being a soldier, being a medic. And he only remembers the happy times before he reunites with her again, as, you know, being with his sister, watching Ice Age, or sitting with his dad and watching baseball. That's what his psyche goes to in trying to escape the world. That's how I read those scenes and his character. But you're right, though. There's a level of trauma that should have gave him some experiences to draw on, to be a better survivor, a little more cunning.
And he kind of he was those guys that kind of just kind of like Cam said, when things happen, you start to grow and you get a little smarter. Where for him, as things happened, he pretty much stayed exactly the same and was still kind of bumbling as the audience member of like, what is going on? And even with the talking to Kirsch and being some like, I want to, run away with my sister so she can have a happy life. He was like, I'm not gonna
lie. I was like screaming, like, dude, tighten up, man. Like him and Chibuzo's character, annoyingly frustrating throughout the series. Like, come on.
Chibuzo really was a horrible scientist.
She was aloof.
But just a terrible a person that you don't want that kind of person. Both of those doctors, the dude called the captain to be killed, the trying to take the face hugger off of him. It's like, that's not how scientists operate. You don't just cut into something, especially if it's doing something that you've never seen before. You need a little, it might kill them, but you still need time to collect that data. And now you collected it, but unfortunately you did it in the shoot first, ask questions later. And that's not a scientific method. This is just like Kurt said, scientific method, it's a method, not a suggestion.
Yeah, and like, I mean, both the Dame and Arthur characters as scientists, they were just like, ugh. I mean, and Dame was Lady Crane from Game of Thrones. Just wanted to put that quick shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the scientists, they were just like, what are you doing? And I think that's my thing. Like, one, I liked the supporting cast was really good. The casting in general was good. And then like, I love the world building. And then the parts that I had issues with, plot armor, random dumb scientists doing dumb stuff. And then like you said, the bubbling brother that was kind of just like, yeah, when we could just hop off this island and we'll be fine. Like, wait, what?
So here's one thing that I did notice that was different from the movies I'm familiar with. The soldiers were soldiering throughout this whole series, where in the movies, the soldiers were soldiering until they was like, yo, we need to go home. Damn the money. Damn the whatever we were here for. We need to go. And I kind of just relate this to Aliens, the second part of the Alien saga, where the soldiers were like, damn whatever was going on. But in this show, even though the hermit was like, yo, let's get off this island. It's like, nah, what do you think? They was like, nah, we're not leaving this island. We're going to, get the situation under control. Not one of them was like, let's get the hell off this island at one point. Even the dude, the guy that the last four that were in the elevator, and he was kind of like, yo, maybe we need to be playing this a little bit smart. Let's not jump into things. They was like, who called it? He was like, who called the elevator? They was like, I don't care. Let's get in there. I was like, bruh, like, use your head, man.
Yeah,
like,
no, you're right. They weren't very clever soldiers. Like but in Aliens, I think that's sort of the result of James Cameron's sort of way of storytelling and positioning characters. Because what I got from that is that they're on a research facility. This is their world. They know that these types of things occur on this island and in Boy Cavalier's domain. So I think the way they figure, and because the corporations have such a stranglehold, is that even if they left the island, they would find them, and it would be bad for either they would take everything they owned, or they would likely execute them because of the things that they've seen and the knowledge that they have. There's no leaving that island unless they get permission.
Yeah, that's the thing I took away too, was just like, I like that in the beginning they show the bumbling brother like trying to quit his job, and they're like, nah, man, you got X amount of more months left on your debt. You can't go nowhere. I like that they said that.
That was Marcy, but they showed you this is the kind of employment. It's more indentured service than it is
exactly.
You're an employee and you can quit, and it's like just walking out the door. It's like, no, it's a little more than that.
And that's kind of like how I took it for the soldiers, why they would be so gun ho. And and shout out to the black chick for surviving all 8 episodes until the end. Good job,
Siberian.
Until the end.
Yeah, but at least you got a full 8 episodes in there. Good job.
You know what? They saved that one for her though. Like they saved that was she's the only one that had that experience in the whole 8 episodes. So because I knew if the Chekhov's gun was that plant thing is getting somebody.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing too.
Yep.
There is plot armor with the Oculus, because that thing got kicked around so many damn times, and I was like, just stomp it.
Well, I also was wondering why the Xenomorph, who normally goes for the eyes, didn't go for the eye that time. It went for the throat. Like it didn't try to spear the eye. It didn't go for the. So again, the same thing with the T-Oculus, not ignoring several dead bodies on that ship, but going out of its way to the beach to find Arthur's now decomposing corpse. And
I will say this. I will say maybe the bodies he saw that was killed by the alien was ripped to shreds. And he was like, well, they can't walk.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go on a limb. He was still kind of
Arthur was
I'm talking about the guy that
scientist too.
He was a scientist, so maybe it's the knowledge. It could be the knowledge thing.
That makes sense.
I would venture to guess that since they made it, that creature knew pi. It knew the formula. So
it was highly intelligent, and it saved
highly intelligent.
It saved a crew member, or it tried to save a crew member. So, it
tried to save Chibouzo. It warned her about the bugs. It was tapping on the window. So it has.
But wait.
Fascinating.
Go back. Why did it set up Isaac though? What was the point of that?
Possibly because it wanted to see its anatomy. I mean, think about it. It probably wanted to see if the creature would attack it.
Because it attacked what's her name? And she was traumatized and they wiped her nibs.
Oh, nibs. Yeah.
Nibs. Okay.
Yeah. And it tried to get inside her, but it failed. So and it noticed that the Xenomorph eggs didn't react to it. So that probably told it that this is not
that makes more sense.
Like the others. So I need to see what's going on here.
Let's just call the Oculus a scientist, because
I'm betting that's what it is. I'm betting that it's some kind of scientist from its race. I'm betting because it acts like a scientist. It was watching them. It was observing their moves. It knew what the situation was with the bugs. It knew that she had those bugs in there as a test subject, and that when it opened the thing, that it was a danger to her. And for whatever reason, it didn't want her to be killed that way, or it was trying to save her for itself. So when it got the opportunity, it could get into her eye. I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to get it twisted. Even though the Oculus was trying to help people, the ultimate goal was for it to survive and figure out a way to get out the island or the
predator.
Ship. It's a predator.
Yeah, it's a predator. But here's the interesting thing. It's a predator that's paralleled with us, right? Because it's intelligent, it plans, it thinks, it attacks, it's opportunistic. It's all of the things that human beings are. And we know that it has not only the ability to critically think and knows cause and effect, but it knows mathematics. And what is the oft thing said? That math is the closest to the language, the closest thing we have to being the language of God. And so that in and of itself says that that's sort of the parallel from the humans to Teoculus. There's a juxtapositioning there of predators, of thinking predators.
I think, and it was very methodical on who it chose as it wanted to be its host.
Got the engineer. Yeah, and what does that give it? That gives it a detailed log of how that ship runs. So if it did succeed in everything it did, it could go home.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so to wrap this up, where do you want it to see go? Where do you want it to go? Like it wrapped up, the way it ended was a little interesting enough where, I'm curious to see what happens, but where do you guys what are you curious to see more of in terms of like its next season? Since they did a lot of world building, they introduced a lot of new things that alien world never really had, but also, like you said, there's a little bit of quibbles, there's some good things, but where do you guys want it to go?
I'm going to say, if they don't outright bomb the island and just scrap it, I think they might just be like, okay, Weyland-Yutani's going to try to recapture the island. You're going to have these forces jump on the island, try to recapture all the species out there. Something's going to get away. But I have a feeling this is only going to last another season or two.
Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing. And that's what I hope for. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. I would only want it to be another 8 episodes, 16 at the most in second and third season. But what I am looking for is for them to tell a nice beginning, middle, and end and bring this thing home, not drag it out, because I don't think it has the material to drag it out and still be called Alien Earth. Now, obviously, we have the Teoculus that is a species of unknown origin, and there could be a whole thing to explore there. But again, you take it away from on Earth. So I want to see where that goes. I want to see if they're going. I want to know what the Teoculus is and whether or not it survives or what happens. Like, it's the most interesting character in the story outside of Morrow and Hirsch. And so
what we need is an episode 5 of the Teoculus in season 2.
I would not be upset if we got an entire episode that was from the point of view of the Teoculus. Like, I would love that, because it's such a fascinating character, because it is a non-humanoid human. Basically, it's a non-humanoid human. At least it thinks.
That's the thing I was going to say too. Is like, I'm hoping for like 2-3 seasons tops, like you said, beginning, middle, and end, a tight, full story, nice little arc or whatever. That way, I like the world building it, and I'm like same thing with the with the Cthulhu. It having its own little spinoff and having the whole situation could be super interesting. Basically, be on some Vampire Hunter D, talking to his host or whatever. But there could be so many different things they could do with it. So it would be really fun. So but I think like the world building they did here was a great foundation, and I like that they just keep building on it, and it makes things interesting. And like you said, Curse, Morrow, those two are super interesting characters. The Cthulhu's, the Teoculus, I'll start calling it that way, is also super interesting. But I like that, like, out of this whole thing, we barely talked about the Xenomorphs, even though that's the star of the show, quote unquote. But they did a good job
about them that much.
Yep, and they made a good job of wrapping it around a lot of interesting things, while also furthering what we know of the Xenomorphs.
They kind of did what Alien Earth did, what The Walking Dead did. It's not about the zombies anymore. And I got that was for me. It was established in episode 3. I was like, oh, this is bigger than the aliens.
Well,
Go ahead.
And no, I was just gonna say you're totally right, and I think there's a couple of things to observe. That's the first Xenomorph we've ever seen look like that with the way, and that Xenomorph that's following them that she has under her thumb is the one that came from her brother's lung. I don't know if that's significant. I don't know if he's going to follow up on that, but that's a detail that I think is there for a reason. At least I'm hoping that it's there for a reason. And so, and then the other thing is just that this thing can't last that long, because you can't take it off that island. That has to be the end of it, because otherwise Earth gets decimated in days. If any one of those eggs or even one Xenomorph, because remember the Xenomorphs have the capability, if I'm not mistaken, of like creating whatever it is to sprout the egg or whatever. Like they carry some parts of every of the, because it's a hive mind, so they all carry.
And they can also do and funny enough, Marvel just did a Marvel versus Aliens type of thing, and it's actually really good because they just kill a bunch of people. But that's kind of the premise of it. It's like they basically take over Earth in a short period of time, because basically 4 or 5 queens land all around the globe and it just decimates the Earth.
Yeah, it's over.
It was.
We got billions and trillions of people on this planet, and by that time. Where you thinking about they're just starting to move people off world onto other colonies, and that's like small chunks, not like 1 million on Mars and then 1 million in on Sirius or in the belt. Like it's like maybe 500, maybe 1,000 here and there. So the Earth is still covered with human beings. So like probably way more now because of that much time. So you can't leave that island. It begins and ends on that island, and so that to me is just a 2 to 3 solid seasons of a good show. Hopefully that's what they do.
Yeah, because basically it sounds like Itani's greed is going to try to recapture those creatures, but at the end they're going to have to bomb that island and get them off Earth. Like there's no question. Because my second question, I was like, could a Xenomorph swim?
That's been if they can survive the void of space, they can swim. Like it's like there's nothing that those creatures can't do except fly.
Here's the thing: it's like when you're in Australia and you see this big ass spider in the house, you leave the house. So when the Xenomorph is on the island, I'm leaving the island, bomb the island, like blow it up, get rid of it. Like
that's when it becomes an infestation, which it most likely will. And we know that Weyland-Yutani is the evil corporation of the future Alien franchise. So we know that somehow they win, or they They
know and they'll win. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for rocking with us. This is Blerdlines. You know what it is. Oh, like, subscribe, follow, send to a friend, join the Discord, all those things. I'm about to say that in the beginning, but I said it right now. So this is Blerdlines, and we out.
How do you say that in Xenomorph?